guys want to come over? Get a closer look. I joke around that I'm like a killer, but I'm actually. But as a chef, it is our responsibility to do things like this swiftly. It is a life, so we have to take care of it responsibly, right? I used to freak out about doing lots of lobsters, but then I would rather do it than somebody else because I know that I'm going to do it. Way over here, chef was telling me that in England, they actually made a law where you have to kill them before you boil them, because most people just drop them in the water. And for me, that's the worst.
Chef, get out of the video, get ready.
The worst. I like to double up on the gloves because there's a lot of things on here that can cut you, little spiny, prickly things coming out, and when you're dealing with it, you could get a nasty cut. So I like to double up on the gloves for just an extra little protection.
And do not remove the rubber.
Do not remove the rubber bands. There's a reason they're on. You don't want to cut your fingers, but they also will attack each other. It might be damaged. Can somebody tell me why we have to kill a lobster before we cook it? Why don't we just let it die like a fish, like regular? Does anybody know? Sorry?
It affects the taste of the meat.
The taste and also the texture. It looks like a shriveled up.
Try it.
It decays rapidly. All right. That's why you have to keep it either under newspaper. I've seen, but I don't like the newspaper because it kind of shreds and then you get little bits of paper. Like Chef said before, seaweed I think is the best way. Keeps it nice and moist. Unless you have a lobster tank in your restaurant. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick the knife.
You know the difference between a female and a male lobster. You walk in restaurant, sometimes customer ask you for female lobster because they come with the eggs and they want to eat the eggs. Female, if you
The shell here is a little bit more open. The reason all the eggs usually are on here. Okay, the male you can see is a bit more spread here. Also the little things here on the female, they have more little kind of little spiny little hair. So all the eggs usually are on here. So when you walk in a restaurant, you may have that. Customer will request this because they won't be able to eat the eggs. Especially if you go to have like a steamed lobster or something like that. Alright? Here we go. Go back to
And when it's times like this, you have your finger in there, you can get a nasty cut, all right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stick the knife right here and then down, quick, swift, over, all right? Make sure when you hold it, you hold it pretty tight because it could move around, all right? And you wanna make sure that you're sturdy and you don't slip off, all right? So what we do is we just set it up first.
by the line right there.
So you can, make sure that it's there, like it's not gonna slip off. Hold it pretty tight. Move your hand here. Down, right through, right? It's over. That's it. It's gonna move, I mean, that's reflexes. I like to keep this towel too, as you can see, a lot of juice comes out, and sometimes the water can fall on your apron, on the floor, or whatever it is. Now that it's dead, the first thing I want to do is take the tail off. So I grab it by here very firmly and swift turn out, all right? It's still gonna move, don't freak out, all right?
So this is the eggs. If you look on the inside here, you will have some of the eggs inside here. You may have some because it's a female or a male. You might see two different things inside.
Now this part you have to be careful because when you take the claw, you don't want to take it from here because this meat is really good. So you want to grab it firmly from here and just with a twist, you can pull it out like that. Same thing over here. See how easy that was? Not that big of a deal. I'm going to take my towel and just tidy up a little bit.
We're going to have, before we kill the lobster, we each and boiling water, alright, and salt, and you can cook the lobster as a table instead to cook them as a team.
Now, you know, I'm sure that you'll see, and maybe you've seen it before, that people just use this whole thing for stock, but there's some stuff in here that you have to clean out, all right? So what I do is I put my fingers in here and I just remove the part with the gills and the legs, and then you have some stuff which is called tamale, not like a tamale like a Mexican. It kind of affects the color and the clarity of your stock, so you want to remove it, but you can use it for things when it's cooked and dried, it turns red. One of the things we used to do with it, we used to cook it, dry it out, pulverize it, and make like little dust for a garnish on the plate. It's pretty cool. I've made butter with that, where you can fold it into a pan sauce, like a lobster emulsion. Gives it a nice little shellfish flavor.
Wait, what part of the like, is that like a specific part of the lobster itself? Like what did you say it was again?
It's called a tamale. It's just
People, when you cook it, it's red and it looks dry. But even when you do, like me, I'm not a big fan. A lot of people, when they have a similar style, they actually eat it.
It's
You know,
intense.
kind of
Is it just the fat of the lobster?
and then some of you is going to have a much darker one, much darker, and that's the eggs.
It's just
That's
part
what
of
the
the
other-
innards of the head. It's not really. I don't even know how to describe what it is.
It's not the brain. I
It's
know
not the brain.
the
People
brain.
think it's the brain. Definitely not the brain. It's just.
And that sack here, right there, is where is it? That little sack we cut in half, that's actually the stomach.
That you want to remove because it's always a little sand, little shell left inside. But all this, that's why when you have lobster bisque, don't think they make lobster bisque with that. They make lobster bisque with this. This they can make lobster roll, salad, pasta, and with all this you make the stuff, you make the bisque.
Also, a lot of restaurants, they clean these really well, boil them, and then they use it on a plate as a garnish, right? Which is kind of fun. You want to get rid of the gills right here because these are, you can kind of just rip them out or you can cut them. The scissor is actually the easiest way. But these can give an off taste to your stock, so you just want to tear these out.
We're not making stuff. You don't need to do that. But if you want, open it, clean it, at least you can see everything inside. And
Yeah, so what I would do is roast these in the oven, maybe a little touch of oil or something like that. Roast them, they get nice color. Then you can add it to your mirepoix as a stock. Once these are done, actually I like to cook them with the rubber bands because sometimes if they're still alive, they can open up. As you can see, this is pretty sharp, so you
this
don't
one
want
cut,
to.
the other one crush.
So, like we said, we're gonna cook these for 11 minutes total. So what you do is you put your claws in for 3, hit a timer. When it goes off, put it in for the rest of the night so you can cook it all in one pan. If you cook it together, this takes much longer to cook than the tail. The tail will be overcooked and it'll kind of mimic. When you overcook lobster, it actually is sort of the same as a dead lobster. It starts to lose its texture, it gets dry, it's tough. So if you ever get lobster in a restaurant and it's shriveled up and dry, it was either dead or they overcooked it. Right. One other thing we were talking about, like Chef was saying, if you're going to do a lobster that you need to heat or cook more, you obviously have to cook it less. If you want to look up something interesting, look up Thomas Keller, the way he cooks lobster. It's very different. He pours water over it, he cooks it for a few minutes where he takes it out of the shell. It's basically raw, and then he poaches it in beurre blanc. It's very cool. I think he started that. He started it. But it's a technique that a lot of chefs have adapted over the years. It's amazing. But it is very technical and technical and a lot of steps, but it's important to learn the basics of cooking lobster first before you can do something like
It's
that.
almost impossible to remove flesh without tearing the flesh. So by putting boiling water, you can cook it, but right on the outside you get it firm. So now you can break it down and remove the lobster still raw. But like I say, you can whatever you want to do. I used to do an elderflower butter, and we used to do a crochet like this in the butter. then you need to cook it gently, right? But that's the thing. The thing we used to do also, sometimes we used to take the lobster instead of keep them, we cut this and then we cook. As then you remove, and then you put a nice little garnish, whatever, and you serve it like that.
It's interesting, just to piggyback on what he said, if you want to do lobster like that, you have to keep them alive on your station, kill them to order. Sometimes it's very difficult. That's why most people, when they get lobster, they cook them right away to avoid the decay. They last for a few days on ice, but they can go back really quickly alive. But the way chef a lot of the lobsters are different, so they're cut them in half. Sometimes they don't have claws. So they're same thing in Italy. Some of these fancy restaurants, when they do a lobster pasta, they cook it in the pan, sauce, and they serve the lobster pasta in the shell. It's a dramatic presentation of what's cool. But at the end of the day, it's. So your station should look like this when you're done, nice and clean. Show us, clean the shell, even though we're not going to use it just for practice. If you don't want to do it, I'm not ready to kill it. This restaurant has been alive at one point, like I said before. Something large, like the bottom one we have there with some salted water. We're going to get this going. You're all going to get the lobster. You're going to clean and sanitize the station. When the water is boiling, we can start to cook the lobster. 11 minutes. Then you do a timer for 2, and then you do your 9 minutes, and you can have your serve. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Prep everything for the lobster as a team of 2, and prep everything for the frittata salad as a team of 2. Yes?
Yes,
I'm
chef.
going to give you some shrimp shell, and we can clean that.